So, the iOS 11 developer beta has been out for a while, and I've had a fair amount of time to look at it and use it. And I've got to say, I'm quite impressed. Here's just a few of my thoughts and some of my favourite features in iOS 11. First, let's start off with a completely useless change. The new animations. These animations are extremely pleasing to the eyes and much better than the older animations in my opinion. I've no idea if they're any faster or slower, but they are nice. Something else that's a bit useless is the lack of icon labels on the dock. It looks nice in my opinion, but it removes a little bit of simple convenience as well. And as I understand it, there's no way to turn the icon labels back on, which is annoying. But with that said, I've had no problem with the lack of icon labels. It's just kind of a minor annoyance. There's also been some minor tweaks to multitasking. Now, with all the useless changes out of the way, let me talk about my favourite new feature, the new control center. Initially, I thought it would be difficult to use and hectic. I mean, just look at the damn thing. But after using it for a while, I can safely say it's awesome. It's a one-page control center similar to a jailbreak tweak called Horseshoe, so it saves swiping around to do things. But oh my, it's much better than any jailbreak tweak. The brightness and volume are next to each other, which makes it easy to control both of them. You control it by swiping up and down on the bars, which in my opinion is much better than the old way of doing it. Above that you have your music control. Its small size has proved not to be a problem. To the left of that you have your controls for stuff like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, AirPlay mode, that sort of thing. Its smaller size is almost better because I can enable and disable multiple things far quicker than with the older control center. Another cool thing with the control center is that you can press and hold on an item to bring up a menu with further options. I've used this many times, especially with the camera and timer. It's kind of useless with the music control, brightness and sound, but I guess it's cool to have. And no doubt the best feature of this new control center is the ability to add new controls. It's not quite as good as a jailbreak tweak, but I suppose it's a start. You can add items like low power mode, which is one of my favourite controls, a shortcut to the stopwatch, a shortcut to notes, and a screen recorder. No, I'm not kidding. iOS now has a built-in screen recorder. Took a while, but it's finally here, and it seems to work pretty well. And actually I'm using it to record the footage you're looking at right now. You can also remove and change the order of the controls as well. So, all in all, the new control center is extremely useful and quite the improvement from what we had in the previous versions of iOS. Next up in my favourite features is the new App Store. Loving the new redesign. My personal favourite feature is the Today category. It doesn't seem to be being updated at the moment, but hopefully it should be when the public beta is released, or possibly the full version of iOS 11. Hopefully they promote new software through this category instead of the stuff we've already heard of. I don't care if King has released Candy Crush number 1,000,000, I want to hear about an obscure experimental indie game or something like that. The only thing I don't like about the new App Store is that the top apps doesn't have its own dedicated page anymore. Instead, it's kind of tucked away in the app section. I don't personally use it, but a vast majority of people do. But that's pretty much my only complaint. One of my personal favourite features is how it loads a video of the app when you're scrolling through, which gives you a good idea of what the app's like, and you can see it without even clicking on the apps page. Awesome. Also, the purchase tab is in a much more obvious place, no longer under updates, which seems more logical to me. There's also a dedicated page for games, because that's all people do with their phones nowadays anyway. All in all, the new App Store redesign is pretty damn good as well. Nothing that's going to change the way you use your phone, but all in all, it's pretty good. Up next we have the notification center and lock screen, because they're now basically the same thing. Basically swiping down now brings you to the lock screen. I thought that would actually be extremely annoying, but actually it seems to make no difference to anything. The most noteworthy feature to me is that you can now swipe to reveal all notifications, which is great because it keeps the notification center uncluttered as well as giving me an easy way to view old notifications. Another feature that I rather like, as somebody who listens to a lot of music on their phone, is the fact that the music controls are now notification, which keeps it from hogging the whole lock screen. And surprisingly, it doesn't impact the functionality of the music control at all. And that's about it for the lock screen and the notification center. A few useful changes, but not quite as dramatic as some of the other changes. Another feature that's kind of interesting is the new Files app. Now make no mistake, this isn't a true file manager like you'd see on a PC or Android. It simply allows you to download files to the app and manage them in there. The only thing that it has going for it is the fact that it has basic Google Drive support as well as iCloud support. I dare say it's a step in the right direction, although I haven't been using it at all. I'm hoping Apple will soon give up and make a true file manager for iOS. Now for something that isn't even a feature, but a really annoying Apple decision. The removal of support for 32-bit apps. So if you try to download or run any 32-bit apps, you'll be blocked from using them. So a lot of older apps that are never going to see updates become completely useless in iOS 11. And by the way, I remind you, there's nothing about 32-bit apps that the newer 64-bit devices can't run. 64-bit is fully backwards compatible. It's just another one of those stupid Apple decisions. Why would they do this? I actually don't know. The only thing I can think of is to try and further obsolete the older 32-bit devices by forcing app developers to drop 32-bit support. Which brings me to the next point. iOS 11 is incompatible with 32-bit devices, which means the iPhone 5C and lower cannot run iOS 11, which once again is annoying and stupid. I mean, the iPhone 5C came out less than 4 years ago, and is being completely obsoleted already. I mean, many people still have these phones, and there's nothing about these phones that can't run iOS 11. This is, of course, part of Apple's plan to go 64-bit only, which, by the way, how much does 64-bit matter on these simple devices anyway? On a better note, my 5S seems to perform much better with iOS 11. Animations are much smoother, things load much faster, and heavier apps and games perform better. And that's my video about things that seemed interesting or noteworthy about iOS 11. This video was of course by no means a feature list. Also, this video was mostly about the iPhone. There's a lot of stuff that seems quite interesting on the iPad side of things. Perhaps I'll make a video about that at some point. In summary, we have a brilliant new control center, a redesigned app store, a redesigned notification center and lock screen, a file app, loads of somewhat minor tweaks, and lots of planned obsolescence.